Hi, day 3 of a 30-day adventure where we're working with Dark Times Catering, the frequencies of this book that just came out. It's a book I wrote. And it's a book about finding the nourishment, the spiritual and the literal nourishment of life that allows us to rebuild and to carry on. Hi, Marina. And today is day 3. Each day I'm just kind of tracking the threads of life and seeing how a frequency in the book wants to be expressed that day. And we're going to go through the month of October having an experience of feeling really nourished, having an experience of really feeling like we have what we need. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm pausing for a second because I don't know what the sound is like here. I'm actually outside at a park. This is what I needed to be at this beautiful lake. Today what we're going to talk about and go into is being nourished by really allowing what's happening to be right. Being nourished by being a lover of reality. And when I look at the beginning of the book and where the book starts, you know, there was a lot of chaos starting to happen in my life that was foreshadowing the complete collapse of life as I knew it. And I really didn't want to see that. I didn't want to acknowledge that. I was really resisting it, and the reason I was resisting it is because I was judging it as wrong. I didn't want to love that reality. I assumed something must be wrong. I must be doing something wrong. There must be a way I can fix it, because for many years at that point, I had really been coming at healing and transformation from a place of like, if I can just heal enough, learn enough, control the moment enough, then everything can be safe. And, you know, doing this work is actually more about meeting the true moment, meeting the moment, becoming a lover of reality, and going on a ride with the actual present moment and beginning to adjust and make decisions that bring you where you want to be, rather than trying to control everything or judge everything or compare everything. And I was thinking about that today because, you know, there's just a lot of chaos. There's a lot of chaos going on. There's a lot of chaotic energy. What my brother used to say when things felt really chaotic was, wow, that's a lot of chi. That's a lot of chi that's moving right now. And it means that like things are moving and things are happening. And I actually was just texting with a friend who was saying that, like, man, there's a lot moving and there's some really challenging things I'm going through, but also like other things I've really wanted are coming in. There's something good is moving in this chaotic energy. And I've spent this whole day driving around Asheville. I've looked at so many apartments, and it was kind of an interesting choice, but it was the right choice to be launching a book and finding a place to live and documenting it all in real time. It's like, I don't know, it's the right thing to do. And it's just been a lot of movement. And when we're in a period where there's a lot of motion and movement and chaos, we can be a lover of reality by just deciding, I guess this is what's right now. This is what's right because this is what's happening. And if we allow something to be right, then we allow it to begin to nurture us, and we allow it to bring us where we need to be. And as I came back from this really long and chaotic day today, I'm actually loving it, to tell you the truth, because it's so fun to be driving all around Asheville and getting to know the places and trying on different ideas of where I could live, and just like enjoying my own company, driving around in a car. It's just like a very different experience I'm having with myself, and it's actually right. And right as I was hitting my capacity of like, now I've been driving around for like 4 or 5 hours, I still want to do this live stream, I want to take a moment to ground. I just kept driving past where I was supposed to turn, and it brought me to this amazing lake. Hey, Lindsay. And so now I'm at Beaver Lake, and this is right now. Like, actually now this is what I needed. And so what I was thinking about is that when we can be a lover of reality and we just go on the experience, we get into the experience that we're having, eventually there'll be a choice point where we can change it up. But while the ride's in motion, the ride's in motion. And sometimes it doesn't look like a lot of movement or chaos. Sometimes it can feel stagnant. Sometimes it can feel like nothing's shifting, although everything is always shifting, even if it's at a very low level. And at a certain point, you'll be given a choice point where you can take an adventure. And while you're still in the space where it's obviously just the true thing is that it's quiet right now, see if you can allow yourself to be a lover of that reality. I would say my last year, besides all the travel, was on some level a little bit quiet and stagnant. And actually it was giving me all this energy that I've been ready to just launch outwards. Like, I just can't believe the amount I'm doing in a day right now, but it's because for a while it was pretty still. And, you know, I could have had judgments about that. Sometimes I did have judgments about that, but it was actually what was true. And being where I am right now is true. And there just wouldn't have been any other way to be here until now. So, hey, Vanessa, so that's kind of the vibe of today. Something I really feel takes place in this book is it begins with, like, as I said, the foundation is really starting to come apart, and I just couldn't allow that to be right. And I think when we are dealing with things like grief and mold and big changes and things that are out of our preferences, it's very hard to let them be right. You know, I think that's a big intersection with mold illness and with grief and trauma, is like, I just don't want this to be true. I just don't want this to be true. So today, like, that's the energy here. Oh, I totally want to come to Chicago with the book. So let's talk about that. I'd love to do that in this coming months and year. Yeah, so today that's the vibe. It's been a lot. It's like maybe you're having a lot of movement and chaos. Maybe you're having a time that feels still or stagnant. Maybe just dropping in with yourself here for a minute. I'm going to take my shoes off and just ground. And just checking in with yourself. What does reality feel like right now? And as you drop in, sometimes the layer on top is this story of, like, it's hard or it's chaotic. And actually when you drop in, like for me, it was like, oh, I'm stressed, whatever, my top layer. And then when I drop in, I'm like so happy. Even though there's so much unknown. Because when you really go through a portal of having to be an unknown, you learn how to have that in your nervous system. And that's, all of us are given that opportunity at some point. So just dropping in with yourself right now, like there's a top layer of what my reality feels like, which is maybe busy, quiet, stagnant, stressful, awesome, exciting, scary. There's like a top layer, just feeling that. Can I love that reality? If this is the reality I'm in right now, and however I get to anywhere else starts here, this is the starting gate. Can I love this reality? Just being with that. And then as you become a lover of this reality, whatever it is right now, that opens the door to really dropping into your heart and feeling how you really feel. So moving from the top story to the story beneath the story, as I always call it, and just drop into your heart. And this is how I really feel. Just let yourself feel something. It could be tender, sad. It could be happy. And And then just being with the energy of the question, how could this be right? So often we can track why something needed to be the way it was once we know the full story. But right now, all of us are in a moment where we don't know the full story yet of whatever our personal present adventure is about. So how could it be right? Even though I don't exactly know everything yet, how could this be right? Exactly how my reality is right now, how could that be right? And then actually just bringing that in, it is right. My life, what I'm seeing in my reality, it is actually right. It's right to be this way. It's safe for it to be true that it's right. And just feeling how, something I say to my clients a lot is, let life love you. Just let life love you. And I'm just feeling that here, like, all right, so yesterday we gave the medicine and the nourishment in our world permission to work with us. We gave ourselves permission to be nourishment and medicine. And today we're kind of just getting present with how reality is in this moment. And we're letting it be right. And we're trusting the intelligence, the intricate design that brought us to this exact moment as this exact person. And now we're not blocking the nourishment there. So we're not blocking the nourishment inside of us, and we're not blocking the nourishment around us. We're allowing it to be right. We're giving the environment and our current reality the permission to be the right one for us right now. We're inviting it to be the right one to bring us where we need to be. I somehow just ended up at like the most beautiful, one of the most famously beautiful lakes in Asheville, and I was driving all over, and I did not know this is where I was headed, but it's what I needed. I needed the driving and the movement, and now I needed to be at this lake while we connected. And there was a choice point at a certain point where I got to choose peace. And if your life has felt quiet, there'll be a choice point moment where you get to choose momentum and adventure. Life has not forgotten about you. Your soul and your soul's deep reason to be here right now, your soul has not forgotten why you're here. It's okay for our hurt human expression to forget. It's okay. We don't have to understand why it's right all the time. We just have to be willing to trust that there's a way this could be right. And that is a deep practice to do even beyond our personal reality into the collective reality we're seeing. How could this be right now? Hey, good to see everyone who's here. So that's our theme for today. We'll be doing 30 days of this. It's in celebration of this book. You can get it all different places. I have the link there. And that was our theme, is just being a lover of reality. Like, life can't nourish us, and our current circumstances can't nourish us, and the world can't make sense if we're not first willing to say, like, this is actually the reality, and there must be a way it's right. It must be part of a bigger design, because so far everything I've experienced in life has been part of a bigger design. And now I understand why the book was telling me this. Before we started this, I just said, it's good to see you, Christina. I just thought, okay, what part of the book wants to be read today? And I wasn't getting it, but now I get it. And it was actually, I guess this is the third chapter. And in the third chapter, my house that I ended up getting sick from had finally had been found out. There was definitely serious mold in the house, and we had to be emergency evacuated. And at the time I was just like, oh my God, it's just another poor me. I just was having a hard time at the time. And I was like, oh my God, now this, and where am I going to go? And I felt so unmoored, which is so funny because now I've had so many years of learning how to travel and be at home and not be thrown in the same way. But at the time, my nervous system was really thrown. There was a lot of things going on that I didn't even quite understand yet. And my brother had just moved to Miami that week. And it was almost like we were kind of switching roles. I was, he was in a place after a lot of his own kind of hard things where he had the freedom and the space to just decide to move to Miami. And he said, why don't you just get on a plane and come visit me here? And I'm so glad I did. I did do that. But at the time, I really had a lot of judgment. It was oh my God, I'm still just floating around. Now I'm going to Miami. Of course, I want to see my brother and hang out with my brother, and hopefully that's going to help. And I want to be with him. But it's just I was still judging oh my God, this is another chaotic thing. And now we have mold and this and that. And the amazing thing is that was the final visit I ever had with my brother. He died a few weeks after that. And we didn't know that. And it's the greatest thing that could have happened was that my house was condemned. We had mold and my house was condemned, and my life was total chaos in that moment. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I couldn't believe I had to move yet again. And it's God bless. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, every part of the chaos, even getting sick from the mold, because I at that time was so judgmental of how my life was looking and feeling that if I hadn't had a real circumstance like that, I wouldn't have gone to visit him. I would have said, no, I need to get my life together. I need to whatever, I'll come visit you in a couple months. Things are too chaotic. And I just have to trust and bless the chaos of that whole time in my life, because the mold, which became part of the thing I healed during this time, is the gift that gave me a final visit with my brother. And thank God. So I just think of that. It's how can that be right? In that moment, it didn't feel right. I literally, you'll read about it in the book, I'm having a panic attack to get on this plane, which actually was, all right, I'm going too deep into details, but I was really just freaking out and judging how chaotic things felt. And now I can see how right it was, how truly right it was to be in that situation, and the gift it gave me of this beautiful final 2 weeks with my brother. Oh man. And I got to move him into his place. And that day when we moved him in that first day, to his apartment in Miami, he was on the water, and we looked down and these manatees came swimming up at us. And his neighbor was we've never seen that before. And Gabe looked it up, and, he was oh, the spiritual totem of seeing manatees in this way is deep acceptance of what's happening, deep acceptance of the current reality. And he knew that I was feeling very emotional and ungrounded, and he was just oh, this one's for you. And the rest of the trip, there's actually a lot of messages around that, because I had this final beautiful visit with Gabe, but I could not prevent what happened next. I was meant to have this beautiful visit with him, and I wasn't meant to be able to save or stop or prevent or rescue. He had a journey that was already in play, and somehow his soul knew to bring all of his most inner circle people to this apartment that he had for 9 weeks. But like everyone really close to him somehow was there. So how can this be right? You know, I'll tell you, I certainly couldn't have felt that at that time. It did not feel right. Even though I always loved seeing him, it did not feel right. And now I just can't even be mad about the chaos or the mold or whatever, the years of whatever it's been about that, because what a gift. So thank you, book. Thank you, Dark Times Catering. I wasn't getting it, but now as we go deeper into the energy of being a lover of reality, I understand why that part of the chapter is important. And yeah, I could keep going because there's another really interesting thing that happens with the Akashic Records and the manatees, because right before I leave Gabe, I'm kind of warned, you're about to go through like the hardest thing you're ever going to go through. And I'm like, what? Like, how do I stop it? And as I ask that, manatees swim up to me. And that was my last day with him. So anyway, hopefully this all is cohesive. But yeah, I'm just in real time remembering it's just like we've got to be a lover of reality, and it's so much easier to do that when we know how the story works out, right? I know how this story works out. I don't love everything about this story, but I know how this story works out. So some of those challenging things in the beginning of the book, I totally get why they had to be that way. And I think we all can do that. And so it's harder to do that when we're in the current moment and we don't yet know how the story goes. And this is just a reminder to us to remember, like, there's always a reason. Later on, we get to see it. And in this moment, we're getting to live it out. So that's it. There you have it. Thanks for joining. I hope to see you again tomorrow. And I'm also going to be having an opening ceremony online for the book on October 21st. And if you get the book, or if you're thinking about the book, I'd love to talk about that. All right. Good to see you, Steph. This looks like, I mean, I know it's not Iceland, but water and mountains. All right. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for joining me.